I just want to welcome everybody and say thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I'm so happy to be able to share all of John C. Maxwell's wonderful wisdom with you. I pull in a couple of authors as well because I just love reading and sometimes this stuff all kind of comes together. But more than that, I am interested in taking the knowledge that I'm pulling out of these books and using it to actually make a very happy and fun and full of energy essential oils business. So thank you for joining me. I'm so happy that we can do this together. So first of all, the question that I think is a really good one to ask is, why does influence matter? And one of the things John C. Maxwell says is that leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. It's just influencing people. But as we'll see in the leadership myths that we're going to go over today, management and leadership are not the same thing. And I was a little surprised to actually read that. You know, when I think about being a leader, I think I personally kind of bend towards the management side a little bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, we've got systems in place, and that's really fun. And there's actually a bigger idea when it comes to leadership and influence. Those two words are kind of used interchangeably in these chapters, so keep that in mind as we go through them. I might say influence and I might say leadership, but I do mean the same thing. So let's first talk about what leadership is not. And this section kind of blew me away a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but I was a little surprised to read this. And this is the management myth. It used to be when all of the leadership books, you know, we've got a ton of material on leadership right now, but it didn't used to be that way. And when you would pick up a book on leadership, it was actually a book about management. So the difference between the two is that leadership is about influencing people to follow you, whereas management is focused on maintaining systems and processes. And so I actually heard this described, I don't know if this is necessarily a good thing, but I have heard that, you know, leaders lead from the front instead of driving from the back. And it's kind of, I mean, when I hear that, for some reason I think about livestock. Like, I don't think about anybody as being livestock. But it's different when you move confidently in a direction to know if somebody will be coming with you or not. Management kind of stands in the back and they, they whip people and they drive people in a direction, as opposed to being strong and saying, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, here's where I'm going. This is my vision. I want you to join me in this vision. Let's build it together. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be exciting. We're going to have great businesses and we're going to have strong families and our bodies will be strong and healthy and our teeth will be strong and healthy. And I so believe in this, that here's where I'm going. Would you like to come? And having people say, yes, absolutely, Deanna, I want to come with you. I want to follow you. That is much different to me than management. So next we have the entrepreneur myth. And people seem to have this idea that every entrepreneur or salesperson is a leader. And that's really not true either. Many people, they might buy what you sell, but it doesn't necessarily make you a leader. So if you are doing something and people say, oh my goodness, I want to do that too, that's different than you saying, hey, I have an oil, would you like to purchase it? So the example that he actually uses in the book is with Ron Popeil. And he is, this is the set it and forget it guy. If you have ever watched an infomercial or have seen spoofs done on them, that's what he does. And the guy just has a million products that he sells. And so he has actually sold more than 300 million in products, but it doesn't make him a leader. So people might be buying what he has to sell, but they're not really following him. So if he were to make a decision and step in a different direction, he might not have anybody that goes with him. Now, he's a fantastic salesperson. He can get that done, but it doesn't really make him an influencer in our society. So let's talk about the knowledge myth. I think this probably pops up in Young Living a lot more than I have seen in other places, because there's this idea that you have to be an oils expert. I've got to get into the knowledge and I have to learn everything that there is about oils. And oh my gosh, that person over there knows more about oils than me, so they're going to be more successful. And that is a huge myth. So if you have the most book knowledge, you may not be the best leader. And that's why like the President of the United States has a cabinet. He's got a lot of people around him that have a lot of book knowledge about different things. And it's his job to kind of go through and talk to them all to come to the best decision in a well-functioning democratic society. So just because somebody has a lot of book knowledge, it doesn't mean that they can really influence themselves or really influence their team. So now we have myth number 4, which is the pioneer myth. And that's the idea that you're going to get out there and you're going to blaze a trail, and where your trail is, people will actually just follow it. Like, that's just kind of what they do. You're the first one there, and so therefore you're going to have people behind you. And that's actually a really big myth as well, because to be a leader, a person not only has to be out front, but also people have to intentionally be coming behind you. They've got to be following your lead. They've got to be acting on your vision. And I underlined the word vision because we talked a lot about vision last week. I have some really exciting color pages. I know, you're like, oh, color page. That sounds like, kindergarten. But they're really fantastic. And if you're on the Road to Convention Success team, they're actually located in the file section. It's called From Executive to Gold. Actually, it's Executive to Royal Crown Diamond, because all of those sheets are in there. I print them off and I love coloring them in. They're like these little thermometers that tell you how close you are to making your rank. And they're fantastic, and they're great for vision casting, because I can look at somebody in the face and let them know, yeah, you know what, to make gold, I only need 2,000 more PV in this leg. And you call up the leader of that leg and you say, guess what, let's make gold. Because as we all know, when you make a rank, it's not really your rank. That rank belongs to your entire team. And so, it's hey, you know what, Sasha, let's make gold this month. And let's see what we can do. What can we do to help stir some excitement and get some people on your leg and get some things going? Sow that vision, because it's so much fun for you guys to be making these ranks together. I don't care if you're upline from people who are making some new ranks, or if you're downline from them. It's just basically a big party. So sow that vision for sure. So this is one of my favorite leadership quotes, which is, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only going on a walk. And that's coming from me. I laugh at that because when I first started doing webinars and teachings and trainings, I would have like one person on. And many times I would basically just kind of do the teaching to myself and record it and then go back and listen to it. And I was reminded of that when I actually read this quote. Now it's not really like that, thank goodness. But yes, he who thinks he leads but has no followers is only going on a walk. Have you had the experience? And if you have not, I pray that it never happens to you. But there's nothing worse than sending out a bunch of invitations to a class and having no one show up. And I actually felt a little vindicated, because sometimes you start to think, oh, so that was just me. And when we went to the Thrive conference, there was one of the leaders that actually stood up and shared that story. And she said, she would send her husband out and she would send her kids out of the house, and, they would take that time to go get pizza with dad, and she'd be all excited and, set the room and set out the cheese and crackers, and then nobody would come. So if that is where you are right now, you are in very, very good company, because it takes a little bit of practice to be heading in a direction that people want to follow. It doesn't happen. You don't come out of the womb with this idea that people are just going to start following you around. Now, I have seen natural leaders, people that seem like from the age they were 2, they were laying out the path and all of the other kids were toddling behind them in diapers. But for most of us, we really have to work at it. So if that's where you are right now, no, my friend, you are in very good company because I'm pretty sure that we have all been there. So let's talk about developing your influence. This is really important. This is one of the reasons why I started walking down this trek of doing a leadership book club. Because by simply being on this book club and reading through these books, you will start to develop your influence, because by reading them and listening to them, you're starting to learn a little bit of the verbiage. So you must earn the right to become a leader. Yes, you might be given a position at work or at church or in a volunteer group. Somebody might appoint you to a leadership position, but that is only the beginning of leadership. If you really want to lead, you have to develop the skills. So here are 3 ways that he talks about, and this is just one line in the book, but I really felt like it was really important. It's communicate, recognize, and that kind of leads to influence, okay? So communication was definitely one of the things that I was the worst at. If you want to talk about just having some really terrible weaknesses, when I started my Young Living business, I had no money and I had no time, and although I didn't have a problem talking to people, I would definitely say that the communication, like the back and forth communication, it was a weakness. So it's an area that I actually still grow in. There's a book called Everyone Communicates But Few Connect, and it was written for somebody like me. Very practical steps. Like I had to go back to like Communication 101 and learn things that I feel like some people have known all their lives. So recognition, this is really fun. I think it's so much fun to recognize people when they are doing something well. I do it all the time. I mean, my house is like one big constant celebration. And it's kind of funny. It's like, oh my gosh, kids, you guys put your shoes by the front door and you hung up your coats. They're actually on the hook. Let's celebrate. Let's bake some cookies. Or, you know, it's so funny when you get into the habit of recognizing the good that people do. It puts such a positive influence in the world, because all of a sudden, instead of looking for the little things that are wonky and out of place, which I think it's kind of a natural state of the human condition, is to try to find what is out of place and put it into place. When you start recognizing people for the silly little things that they do well, it really leads to a life that spirals up, because all of a sudden it'll come back to you too, and people are like, oh my gosh, Beverly, good job. You actually kept the Leadership Book Club under an hour. You know, score, you get a gold star. So it's so much fun, and it leads to a group that is really, really together. And that is going to lead to your leadership and your influence, because people really want to be around somebody that makes them feel really good about themselves. If you have stopped writing handwritten thank you notes, get back to it. Even if it's just a postcard, go and buy fun postcards and mail them out to like 5 people a week who you think could use a little uplift. I learned that over at Thrive as well, like using postcards instead of actual like mailing cards, and it definitely makes a difference. And it makes a difference in stamp price. So, okay. The levels of leadership. This is chapter 8, if I have lost you guys on where we're going. What we just discussed was called the power triangle. These are the 3 components of the power triangle. You start to communicate effectively. This leads to recognition, and this is other people recognizing you, both ways. Recognition turns into influence. So those are 3 really good things to keep in mind and smaller steps to practice. So let's look at the levels of leadership. I think this is really complicated, the way that this looks, but it's in the book this way, and I wanted to kind of stay true to the book. So let's go over these levels really quick. The first level is position. And when you are working in a 9-to-5 environment or in an environment where you are around other people, this is when the boss says, hey, everybody, we need to promote somebody, and now you're going to be a supervisor, or you're going to be a junior manager, or you're going to be a manager, or something to that effect, okay? That is just positional. And so you'll have a little bit of influence based upon that position, but it hasn't really been earned yet. In the Young Living world, what this looks like is it looks like you start your Young Living business, and so now you're the head of a leg. Sure, that leg might just be your leg, but it's very positional. Or sometimes you can make a leadership rank. You can make the rank of silver by you doing everything and not influencing anybody. You can be out there signing everybody up and developing all of the legs yourself. It's just positional. So, sorry, I had to take a little sip of water there. Okay, so the rights. People follow you because they have to. You're their upline. There's nobody else for them to follow. So they follow you because you have to. But your influence are not going to extend beyond the lines of a couple of essential oils. The longer you stay in positional leadership, the higher the turnover rate. But what you'll find is that you'll get people that start ordering and they order for about 90 days. 90 days is usually the limit, and then they stop. So if you're looking at your downline and you're seeing a bunch of zeros, you are going to have to reevaluate a few things. It could be the influence. It could also be the lack of education. So keep that in mind as well. But if you're seeing more zeros than you are orders, you need to sit down and do an honest evaluation as to why that is. So relationships. So people follow you because they want to. This is the permission step. So people will follow you beyond your stated authority. This level allows work to be fun. So if you stay at the level without growing, highly motivated people, the people who really want to get out there and build a gigantic organization in a short period of time, they will grow restless and they will start to leave and wander and look for leaders that are higher up than you are. They may start going over your head. But what's nice is that they are following you because they want to follow you. So then you go to the next level, and this is people follow you because of what you have done for the organization. This is the production level. So this is somebody finds out that you are a Crown Diamond, and they follow you because what you have done for your organization and what you have done for Young Living as a company. So successful is kind of the word of the day when it comes to production-based influence. So they like you. They like what you're doing. However, you do want to keep momentum going in the production phase. And if you are a diamond and if you are a Crown Diamond, you don't want to rest on that, where you just start telling people what to do, and it's just based on the fact that you're a Crown Diamond or a diamond. So you want to move into leadership level number 4, which is people development. So this is when people follow you because what you have done for them. This is where the long-range growth occurs. So your commitment to developing leaders will ensure ongoing growth to the organization and to the people. I think this is probably the most fun part of leadership for me is people development. I love for all of us to kind of develop together and to look back, even 90 days from where we are today and realize, oh my gosh, we are better people. We are stronger teams. We're better communicators. We pray more. We talk more. We have better relationships in our lives. Every aspect of our life is growing and changing in this wonderful, positive way because we are all together and we're all doing it together. So that's what the 4th level is. Oh, apparently I've got to plug my computer in. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, that is the 4th people development level. And so let's talk about the fifth level. People follow you because of who you are and what you represent. This is level 5, and not very many people will actually make it to this level because you have to spend years growing others, growing organizations, and there's really not a lot of people who do it. Those who reach it, they're kind of considered bigger than life. So if you think about the Tony Robbins of the world or the John C. Maxwells of the world, they all kind of fall into this category of the personhood, the fifth level of development, because they're not following you based upon what you have done for them or what you have done for an organization. They follow you because they love who you are as a person. And that's a whole nother level. Good gracious me. It's hard for me to even imagine, believe it or not. So let's talk about the difference between a boss and a leader. This, for me, really draws the line between the difference of management versus leadership. So a boss is going to drive their workers. And it's something like, well, if you don't show up to this class on Thursday, you will no longer be welcomed at fill in the blank here. It's very consequence-based. If you don't do this, then I'm not going to do that. And it's done in this very negative way. You know, when you are working with business builders, there are certain requirements that you need to have for your business builders. But it's not done in a way that is, you either do this or I'm not going to do this. For my team and I, it's really saying, hey, Missy, here's the next thing that we want to strive and get done. And then it's just a matter of waiting until it gets done. And then once it gets done, you move up to the next level. So you really coach people on what they're going to be doing and where it is they're going to be going. And a lot of that is based upon asking them what their goals are. So it's not I'm focused on goals. Everybody be focused on me making goals because, heck, that's going to be fun. You know, it's really, hey, Missy, hey, Sasha, hey, Angela, what are your goals? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? And if you put your time and effort into your members and you help them to grow where they want to be, your business as a whole is also going to grow at the same time. So a boss inspires fear, and that fear is very, again, very consequence-based. If you don't do this, then this isn't going to happen, and your whole Young Living business is going to explode into a jillion pieces, and all of your hard work is going to cease, and all of this fear gets sown instead of inspiring with enthusiasm. Instead of saying, hey, I know that this is your goal. You want to bring your kids to Disneyland, and I know that if you do X, Y, Z, you're going to be able to get there. So do you want my help to be able to do that? What can I do to help you make that goal? What do you think? A boss says the word I a lot. I did this. I wrote that. I'm doing this. Yay. And a leader says we. And I think it's important. If I could do it every single time somebody ranked up, I think everyone in that organization should get together and snap a picture around that new rank certificate, because you know what? It really is a team effort. No one person succeeds without all the other people, and I think that that's just amazing. So a boss, if something breaks down, the boss looks for somebody to blame for the breakdown. Whereas a leader just goes in and says, okay, everybody, hold on. We're going to not blame each other. We can evaluate how this happened, but how it happened isn't always the big deal. What needs to happen is this breakdown needs to be fixed. What can I do to stand in the gap here a little bit? I know a lot of us were brought to that type of thinking when the lines for customer service were so ridiculously long. You could either jump in and start blaming people for that and pushing off responsibility. Now, granted, having short lines at customer service is not my job. It's not your job either. But ultimately, we are responsible for leading our teams. And so the question became, well, what can we do to help our people and inspire them to make this process better for them. And as a team, we came up with some really good ideas that we implemented to help minimize that on our team. And it was fantastic. I was really excited about it. And lo and behold, we've come out on the other side. And that was fantastic. Hopefully we're not going to have to do that again. Okay, so that is chapter 8. And here's something else that's in chapter 8 that I didn't make a slide for, but you know, you can't really lead people without loving them. This is a difficult one. I think it's a difficult one for a lot of us because we tend to have a mindset that says this is business and this is pleasure and this is work and this is friends. It's very cut and dry. Like one of the phrases that you hear out there a lot is, oh, well, you know, this is just business. And so when you're trying to lead people, if you don't have a genuine love for them, they are going to feel that. And in feeling that, they will have certain, you know, they're going to respond to that. You know, do you really want to be in business? Do you personally really want to be in business with somebody who doesn't really like you? You know, the answer to that question is no, none of us do. We want to have fun. So John Maxwell, one of the things that he does get into, which I am not, so is actually leaving a legacy. That's chapter 10, and if you want to read through chapter 10 on your own, feel free. But you know what I do want to do? I do want to get into empowering people. So this is actually in chapter 9, and this is probably one of my hot buttons, is making sure that other people are empowered. The reason for that is it gives them such an ownership over their own businesses. When people start young living businesses, they are not starting Katrina Oils LLC and joining you in the building of your business. And everything is about you as a CEO and your vision and what you want and stuff like that. It really is about them. You want to help them to start their own business. Name it. You know, have them give it an actual corporation name that they love, even if it never technically becomes that. You know, have them name their company and start teaching them where to find the information that they need so that they know where they can go for it. This isn't a refusal to help someone, but when somebody knows where to find an answer, they just feel so much more empowered. John Maxwell says, when you become an empowerer, you work with and through people, but you do it so much more. The act of empowering changes others' lives, and it's a win-win situation for you and the people that you empower. So why is this such a win-win situation? Well, when you actually empower other people, that will kind of free up your time if you think about it. So the more they know where to go find the answers and the more they know about how to build a business and how to train other people to do the same, that means that you don't have to be on nearly as many telephone calls. You don't have to spend your time with the repetitive things that kind of happen over and over and over again. You really want to respect people enough to know that they have it in them to actually find answers for themselves. So it might feel a little bit like you're giving up control, but that's really not the case. Empowering somebody else to do something is not you, well, it is, in a manner of speaking, you giving up control, but it's done in such a peaceful way. It's a win-win situation for both of you. So when you have a business builder, the very first thing that you want to do with them is you want to make sure that they know where to find the answers for protocols. That's always step one. So there's a few things that I like to tell my business people about that, my business builders. You know, first of all, a desk reference, if it's the pocket or the full-size version, is a great way to get that job done and empower people as to where to find the answers. The other is I will tell people, okay, what you want to do is go to Google and type in whatever the symptom is followed by the words Young Living. And when you do that, you're going to get a lot of protocols that will pop up and you can start to read through them. Then we'll meet together and we can decide, you know, which protocol is the right one, and I'll give you the reasons as to why I feel this one might be a good one worth trying. And by doing that, they're not only learning how to find a protocol, but they're learning how to sift through them to kind of choose the best one for their client. The next thing that I like to do is I like to jump right in and start training people on how to be business builders and how to train other people how to be business builders. So anyone that has ever done a one-on-one business training with me, from phone call number 1, I will tell you, okay, pay attention to this and take really good notes, because this is exactly what it's going to look like when we are training your business builders. And all of the training is set up with the understanding that soon they're going to be doing these calls on their own. That's what a duplicatable system is for. It's to help other people be empowered and start growing their businesses right away. So if you start to do these things, you're going to find that you will not only have a fantastic business, but it's going to be one that is not going to be dependent upon just you and just your time. It's going to be a beautiful experience filled with lots of recognition, lots of fun, lots of celebration, lots of influence, and that is going to make that influence last. So this is the end of our series for Leadership 101. Next week,